Weekdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.
The Managing Director of Crown Relocations South Africa, Pettey, shares his thoughts on South Africa at the intersection of a global phenomenon called a homecoming revolution. Now, this isn't merely a statistical trend, it's a narrative that etched in personal stories, a journey back to the heart of South Africa. In his open editorial, Pettey shares insights gleaned from leading a global relocations company, which provides relocation as well as moving services for individuals, families and businesses around the world. From the allure of the African lifestyle to the challenges propelling individuals back from the United Kingdom, the United States and Australia, he delves into the tapestry of emotions that define this unique movement. This is a discourse on the homecoming revolution as witnessed through the lens of MD, deeply invested in the stories of those choosing to make South Africa their home once again. And to share these insights with us is Pettey. A very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us on Africa in Business today.
Tammy, thank you. Great to be with you, and I appreciate the invite.
So when we talk about this mass exodus from South Africa into the United Kingdom, the United States, Australia, anywhere else in the world, what would you say, or what have you found to be the catalyst for this purging, so to speak?
Okay, Tammy, over the last many years, we know lots of people have left the country, and basically because I think to try and look for greener pastures, to get their kids into new schools, feel their kids need better future. But we have seen a total change over the last few months. With virtually a homecoming revolution, with so many people realizing the grass isn't greener on the other side.
And which are the countries that were the new homes for the expats?
Tammy, most of the countries were Australia, New Zealand, United States, Canada, and very much the UK.
Did COVID impact this at all?
COVID absolutely had the biggest, I think, impact on it. So post-COVID, we've seen the numbers dwindle. I think a lot of people during the COVID pandemic were suddenly realized that I don't want to be where I am. So I think a lot of people post-COVID have come to the realization that that family life and being in a place that they know better is where they want to be. Hence now people relocating or moving back, and a lot of people moving back without any goods because finances are pressing.
Now that is something quite worrisome. When people relocate, that is obviously a very expensive exercise. People sometimes often sell their homes, they leave their jobs and use that money to establish themselves in their new homes. What happens to these expats when they return? How have you found them reorientating themselves and financially securing themselves back into the country?
Yeah, Tammy, I think the facts are a lot of expats that have moved overseas out of South Africa haven't done their homework well, I don't think. And they think that it's just a case of getting to the other side, finding a job and getting on with it. And now sitting there without money, coming back to South Africa. I think COVID has also helped us find a lot of people working remotely and from home. So a lot of people that have found jobs overseas are relocating back and still doing their jobs in South Africa. But there's a critical skill shortage also in the country at the moment, which includes the IT field, management consulting, financial services, healthcare, and education. So there are jobs that are available for people that have the skills.
I wonder if you could share with us, Ian, some of the experiences that the expats have had. As you mentioned, they leave South Africa for what they believe are greener pastures. But when they get to that grass, which is meant to be green, what do they actually find? What are the challenges that await them?
I think the biggest challenge they have is the culture. the feeling of Ubuntu in South Africa is big. People invite people over to your homes for barbecues or to come and have a meal or let the kids come and swim, whereas that does not happen in most other countries in the world. So they feel very isolated. People feel, well, I'm living in this tiny box. So, compared to the homes in South Africa, people that can afford to have left the country, the big homes to a tiny little apartment that's probably, if they had to buy it, probably 6, 7 to 12 million rand.
So the reasons why they leave in the first place, what would they highlight them to be?
I think the biggest issue, there were actually two issues. I think it's the crime in the country, the violent crimes that were driving people away, thinking, I have to get out of here, my family's not safe. And the second one is to give their kids a better future. A lot of parents, I think, in a way, it's looking at it now, it's almost like a naive statement, because I think the schooling in South Africa is far better. The standard of schools, and also the less bullying and nurturing in schools in South Africa. So between education and crime, I think that those are the two major things that have pushed people out of the country.
So how then do they readjust, Ian? Because these two are not moving goalposts. They're not factors or environments or situations that have changed. Violent crime is still a problem in South Africa. Actually continues to escalate. The quality of education, as you mentioned, we actually do have a good quality of education in the country, comparatively speaking. So this hasn't moved. So what then has to change in order for this country, South Africa, to once again feel like home for them?
Yeah, I think particularly, let's say in the United States, people are targeted, and the violent crimes are, you don't know where it's going to happen. Whether people are going to go into mass shootings at schools and things like that. Whereas in South Africa, it's localized. I think that, and it's also it's pointed at certain people. So the big crimes, and I know I'm talking really in general here. And I think a lot of people sitting overseas looking at what's happening, saying, I'd rather go and help my own country, going back to South Africa and trying to help the government, help the people living in my country to change this perception. We know that the crime's always going to be a thing unless we can get the jobs and people. The unemployed need jobs, and as long as you have a massive unemployment, you're going to have the crime statistics that we're having in this country.
This sounds almost like the prodigal son experience, where you leave for what you believe are greener pastures. You get there and you realize, you squander all your fortunes, and you realize that maybe home is best, and you go back and you find that, home is still there waiting for you. But I'm wondering how business is like for you at this point, Ian, because this is what you focus on, Crown Relocations.
Yes, yeah. Tammy, yes. We do imports and exports, so people coming back to the country. But as I said, unfortunately, they're not people coming back home aren't bringing the amount of furniture they took out with them. They're bringing back either nothing or just their suitcases and their families. So it's really hurt our business big time, because we used to enjoy many container loads of furniture and people leaving the country, and there was a fair amount of expats from overseas people coming into work in corporate companies in South Africa. But we've really seen a big downturn in our business, which is sad. And that's something that we're actually having to re-look at our business models to take on this downfall in relocations.
And I wonder what the factors are leading to less goods being brought back into the country. Do you think it may be the prices of furniture really going down compared to what they may have been some years ago? And maybe people not quite buying, those antique classic pieces that would cost you a fortune that are worthy of being heirlooms.
Tell me, it's a desperation to I think, for people, the homecoming revolution. It's a desperation to get back to family, friends, and they know they'll be helped here. The problem is, if you just look at the average cost of living in the UK at the moment, is approximately 79.3% higher than in South Africa. That's significant. I know salaries are more there, but all those savings that you took over with you have depleted, and that's why that is the factor why they're not bringing their furniture back. Because moving a container, if you're looking at a 20-foot container from the UK back to South Africa, you're looking at maybe 150, 200,000 rand. People haven't got that kind of money. They would rather get back here and start, use second-hand furniture just to get themselves going again.
When did we actually see this starting to happen, this homecoming revolution? When did you start seeing it?
Yeah, I think soon after the COVID pandemic stopped. I think people realized. And also, I think countries like Australia, New Zealand were looking at employing their own. So because of the downturn after COVID, lots of people lost their jobs, and they wouldn't then look at South Africans living in their countries to get the jobs first. They would look after their own. So a lot of people lost their jobs, and by losing their jobs, that's when the revolution started. So I think it's since COVID, the post-COVID, that this revolution has really, but probably in the last 8-9 months, it has really escalated.
Wow, very interesting conversation, Ian. Thank you so much. Great insights as to how the world or how South Africans are moving. Thank you, Ian.
Pleasure, Tammy. Thank you. Have a good day.
You have a good one. Thank you. That's Ian Pettey there. He's Managing Director of Crown Relocations South Africa, saying that it's soon after COVID that he started noticing South Africans coming back en masse, those who had relocated for the United Kingdom, the United States, Australia, in search of greener pastures, a better life, wanting to be in an environment where they felt would give their children a better future. Because South Africa, they say, is also full of a violent crime. But after some years having to come back home to re-establish themselves, re-establish their family relationship and their friendships and the whole culture of Ubuntu, ultimately no man is indeed an island.